everyone. Today we are going to study email or electronic mail as we call it. So the email or electronic mail has been around for decades now, and there is hardly anyone of us who has not used an email. So email, like most other forms of communication, has its own conventions and styles. The architecture of an email normally consists of two subsystems. The first one is the user agent, which allows and people to read and send email. So the first subsystem is the user agent, which allows people to read and send emails, and the second subsystem is the message transfer agent, which moves the messages from source to destination. The user agents are the local programs that provide a command-based or a menu-based or graphical method or a graphical interface for interacting with the email system. The message transfer agents are typically the system daemons, that is, the processes that run in the background. Their job is to move email through the system. Typically, an email system supports 5 basic functions. What are these 5 basic functions? The first one is composition. We all know before sending a mail, we have to compose a mail. That means we have to write and prepare a mail. So this is known as composition. Composition refers to the process of creating messages and answers. The system itself provides assistance with addressing in numerous header files attached to each message. For example, when answering a message, the email system can extract the originator's address from the incoming email and automatically insert it into the place in reply. So many times you must have noticed that when you compose a mail, automatically you are provided with header files. So these headers consist of the source address. That means the person who is sending the address. So your address is automatically inserted into the header file. Then there is a space provided for inserting the address of the person to who you want to send the email. And in certain cases, when you are replying to a message, you don't even need to copy the sender's address. The moment you click on reply to, automatically the address of the receiver is inserted in that particular space. Next feature or next function is your transfer function. So this refers to moving messages from the originator to the recipient. So whenever a message or an email is moved from the originator or the sender to the recipient, this is because of the transfer function. So this requires establishing a connection to the destination or some intermediate machine, outputting the message and releasing the connection. So basically, to transfer this email message from the sender to the receiver, a connection is required to be established. So first of all, a connection is established, then the message is outputted, and then finally when the message has been received, the connection is released. So the email system should do this automatically without bothering the user. Now you see all this is happening in the background without you even realizing it, right? You simply click a button and you think that your message has been transmitted without anything happening in between. But this is all that is happening in between. So it says that the system should automatically do this without bothering the user. So this is what is happening. Without you being even bothered, without you being even knowing, the transfer was the connection was established, the message was transferred, and then the connection was released after the message was transferred. So the third function is then reporting. Reporting has to do with telling the originator what happened to the message. Was it delivered? Was it rejected? Was it lost? So after transferring, the other most important function is reporting, that what happened with your message, what happened to the message that you had transmitted. Has it been successfully sent? Has it been delivered? Has it been rejected? Has it been lost? So many times you must have noticed that you receive a message. When you send an email to an inappropriate email ID, your message was not sent, this is the message failure daemon. This message is usually that you receive. So that is reporting. When your message is successfully sent, you receive a message has been sent. So that means reporting to the user that what happened to the message that you sent. Now the fourth function is displaying. Displaying the incoming messages need to, so basically what function is the displaying function? You know that the incoming messages need to be displayed so that people can read their email. Simple conversions and formattings are sometimes provided as well over here. So displaying is nothing but simply displaying or highlighting the new messages that have come. In your email, in your primary inbox, you must have seen there are so many messages, but out of that a few messages are highlighted in black color. So that is basically telling you that these are the new incoming messages that have come and you can read them. Sometimes when there are some digitized voice messages, they need to be converted in a proper format. So the conversions and formatting is also provided. Then the fifth function is disposition. What is disposition? Disposition is the fifth and the final function, and this is the final step, and it concerns what the recipient does with the message after receiving it. So the disposition function's concern is to see what the recipient has actually done with the message after receiving it. What are the possibilities? That means what all things that the recipient can do with the message that he has received. He can throw it away before reading. Sometimes when you receive spam messages, you simply delete them without even reading them. So the possibility is that the receiver may throw the message away without even reading it, or he may throw it after reading. Sometimes you find messages that are promising but actually are not that promising. Sometimes you find that this message may be important, but when you open it, you find it to be a spam or an unimportant message. So in that case, you read it and then throw it away, or you delete it. So the possibility is that the user may throw it away after reading it, or if it is an important message, you read it and then you save it also, so the user can save it and so on. So disposition basically deals with what the user or receiver can do after receiving a particular email message. He may throw it away before reading it, he may throw it away after reading it, or he may save it after reading it. So it should be possible to retrieve and reread saved messages, forward them, or process them in other ways. This disposition function also deals with this, that after you have read a particular message, you can reread it as many times as you want, as long as you have saved that message. You can forward that message, or you can process in some other ways. So most systems allow users to create mailboxes to store incoming email. You have mailboxes wherein all your incoming mails are saved unless you delete them. So the commands are needed to create and destroy mailboxes and so on. In order to create a mailbox and in order to destroy a mailbox, certain commands are needed. In organizations, corporate managers often need to send a message to each of their subordinates, customers, or suppliers. So there is a long list of receivers to which a particular manager may have to send the same email. So this gives the rise to the idea of mailing list. This is where mailing list comes in, which is a list of email addresses. That means all the email addresses of several hundreds or thousands of people are saved in that particular mailing list. So that when a message is sent to the mailing list, identical copies are delivered to everyone on the list automatically, and the manager does not have to type in hundreds or thousands of emails in the send to address field in order to send the same message to so many people, which is not practical. So this is where mailing list comes in handy. Other advanced features of an email system are the carbon copies. Carbon copies is wherein you want to send the same copy of that particular mail to different people. Say for example, depending upon the hierarchy, you send the original copy to the deputy manager, and then the carbon copy to the manager. So basically there is no difference whether you send it as a main copy or you send it as a carbon copy. The system does not distinguish it. This is just a psychological difference. So in such cases you can send carbon copies or CCs, and then there is blind carbon copy, wherein you want to send the same copy of mail to several people without the primary receiver knowing it. So in that case you can send blind carbon copies, which are also known as CCs. Then there are high priority emails. Then there are secret or encrypted emails which you don't want others to read. High priority emails would be given higher priority. Then alternative recipients, if the primary one is not currently available, so in that case alternate email IDs can be sent, so that you ensure that if it is not received on one email ID, at least it will be received on some other alternate email ID and the email would not be lost. So a key idea in emails is the distinction between the envelope and the contents. Envelope basically consists of all the header fields like to, subject, email ID of the sender and all. And contents is basically the that particular area wherein you type the message or wherein you compose the message. So the envelope encapsulates the message. It contains all information needed for transporting the message, right? Envelope is basically encapsulating the message. Just like in a postal system, you put a letter or inside the envelope. Similarly, here also the envelope is encapsulating the message. And what does the envelope contain? Envelope usually contains the address of the sender plus the address of the receiver, obviously, which is very important. And in case of an official postal service, you type the subject also on top, so that the receiver knows that the subject regarding to which that post has been received. So basically, similarly here also the envelope contains all information that is needed for transporting the message. Now what all information is needed? The first and most important thing is the destination address. You need to know the destination where that message needs to be transported. So destination address is an important part of the envelope. Then priority, what is the priority of that mail, so how the network will treat it. Then the security level, whether it is encrypted or not, all of which are distinct from the message itself. So this is all the control information basically, which is distinct from the actual message. So that is all contained in the envelope, and then the envelope encapsulates the actual message or the email, which you call it. So the message transport agent use the envelope for routing, just as post office does. So just as the post office uses the envelope and the address on the envelope for posting a particular letter, similarly the message transport agent, as we said, there are two subsystems, the user agent and the message transport agent. So here the message transport agent uses the envelope for transporting the message. The message inside the envelope consists of two parts, the header and the body. So the envelope basically consists of the two parts, the header wherein you have the destination address, source address, subject and some other related fields, and the body wherein you compose the actual message. The header contains control information. I've already told you header part would contain the control information like the sender's address, the receiver's address, the subject and certain related information. And the body is entirely for human recipient. The moment you type compose, the body of the email opens wherein you type the actual message. So the body is for the human recipient. Now, as I said, that there are two subsystems of an email, the user agent and the message transfer agent. So we'll study them in detail now. So what is the user agent? Right now we'll focus on the user agent. User agent is normally a program that accepts a variety of commands for composing, receiving and replying to messages, as well as for manipulating the mail boxes. Then the message transfer agent. If we talk of the message transfer agent, in normal usage, the user agent will build a message and pass it to the message transfer agent, which then uses some of the header fields to construct the actual envelope. The principal header fields related to message transport are The first one is the to field, which is very common to all of us. The to field gives the DNS address of the primary recipient. DNS address could be like procomputers@example.com. So this DNS we have already studied, so I'll not repeat it here. In case you want to study it, I will give a link in the description box for the DNS video on DNS. So the to field gives the DNS address of the primary recipient. Then the CC field, as I told you, when you want to have multiple recipients, distinguishing the primary from the secondary ones, in that case you can have the CC field, wherein you can have multiple recipients, right? And the CC field gives the address of the secondary recipient, so that you can basically distinguish between the primary and the secondary recipients in a psychological manner. To the system there is no difference. Then is the BCC field, which is also known as blind carbon copy field, is like the CC field, except that this line is deleted from all the copies sent to the primary and secondary recipients. That means the primary recipient would not know about the list of all those email addresses who are the secondary recipients and to whom the email has been, a copy of the email has been sent. In case of CC field, the primary recipient would know, whereas in case of the BCC field, the primary recipient would not know the list of all those recipients to who the same copy of email has been sent. So this is the only difference. Next is the from and the sender. The from and the sender field is also very common to all of us. From basically is telling from who the message has come, and send, right? So this field tells who wrote and sent the message respectively. These need not be the same. The from field can have a different email address and the sender can have a different email address. Just like a secretary managing her manager's account. So in the from field, the manager's email ID can come, and in the sender field, the secretary's email ID can come. So a line containing received, the next field is the received. A line containing received field is added by each message transfer agent along the way. This line contains the agent's identity, the date and time the message was received. All these details are in the received field. Then is the return path field. The return path field is added by the final message transfer agent and was intended to get back to the sender, so that it can get back to the sender in order to let the sender know what happened to his message that was received. Then is your reply to field. The reply to field is sometimes used when neither the person composing the message nor the person sending the message wants to see the reply. So in that case, you can use the reply to field. For example, a marketing manager writes an email telling the customers about a new product. Now the message is sent by secretary of that marketing manager, but the reply to field lists the head of the sales department who can answer questions and take orders. So in the reply to field, you can type in the email address of the sales department, so that whenever the customers reply, their reply is sent not to the marketing manager but to the sales department, though this mail was from the marketing manager. So the reply to field basically helps the you to distinguish between the sender of the mail and to the person who you can reply to in case you want to reply to that particular mail. This field is also useful when the sender has two email accounts and wants the reply to go to the other one. Obviously, in such cases where you want to have two separate accounts, one for sending the messages and one for receiving the replies, in that case also reply to field is quite useful.